What question should you ask during an interview with a potential graduate school supervisor? Stick around and learn my top 5 recommendations today on this episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, everybody? This is Dr. J. Phoenix Singh coming at you to be able to answer a valued viewer's question, which is one that I think that so many of you likely have. Now, regardless of what time of year it is never a bad idea to start thinking about what you're gonna do if, fingers crossed, you get an interview at your dream graduate school program with your dream and targeted grad school mentor. Who's that supervisor you want to be working with? Who's that big name person who you've always wanted to be mentored by? Who is that early career rising star? Or who is that mid-career tried and true ally of other big name people in the field? So what I'm going to do for you today is to be able to answer a question that was posed by Natalie. It was posted on a video called 5 Things to Do and Waiting to Hear Back from Postdoc Applications. If you guys are interested, I'm actually thinking about doing another one of those, which will be 5 Things to Do when waiting to hear back from grad school applications. So not postdocs, but grad school applications, because 'tis the season. If you're interested in me making that video, just post a comment below and let me know. I'd appreciate it. In addition, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and do so. Hit that notification bell so that you get notified every time we post new original content, and smash that like button or the dislike button. It's completely fine. There seems to be 1 or 2 people who, like, for every single video, I'm pretty sure it's the same 1 or 2 people who come and dislike the video. So big shout out and thank you to those couple of people, because it makes sure that the video gets watched by even more people. So you guys are the real MVP. Love you to death. So let's go ahead and get started. Natalie's question here is, "Hi, Dr. Singh, I hope all is well." It is Natalie, thank you. I was wondering if you could make a video talking all about what questions to ask during an interview with a potential grad school supervisor and how to answer any questions they may ask you. Thanks, I've been a subscriber for quite a few months and I love the channel. Thank you, Natalie, I love you back. So here's the deal. I'm gonna focus in this video, Natalie, on the first part of your question, because the number of questions they could ask you is like unlimited. And I have a lot of other videos on this channel that are all focused on the most commonly asked grad school interview questions, as well as how to respond to them. So obviously, if it's from your target supervisor as one of the people who's doing the interview, it would stand to reason that those would still apply. Now, if any of you guys have any specific questions that you're like, yo, I'm really afraid of getting asked X, Y, or Z during an interview, go ahead and put those questions down below. Please make sure you've watched my other videos first, though, so that we're not just kind of, redoing those videos. But if you have any new ones, maybe a friend or a colleague of yours has been asked a question that you've heard recently and you're like, I don't even know how I'd answer that. If it's something like, if you were shrunk down to 1 centimeter tall and put into a blender, how would you escape? I got asked a question like that, not for grad school, for a job interview once. I don't even know what I said. I honestly don't. This was like a very strange one for me. And I think I've repressed my own answer because it was probably that bad. Because at that age, I'm not kidding, I think I was 18. It's like 17 or 18. It was for a summer internship. Don't remind me. In any case, let's go ahead and get to this. So what I've done here is that I've prioritized questions, like I said, that I think that would be good for you to ask a potential grad school supervisor, all right? Now, these are in no particular order, all right? Let's go through them one at a time, though. The first one is, if you have gone to that individual CV, the target supervisor CV, and you have found that they are currently being funded by a grant, then it's something where you should assume that there will be opportunities for you to be able to assist with the grant. Okay, and this is key. You're gonna see other videos on this channel where I talk about one of the biggest, and there's a video all about the 5 biggest doctoral dissertation mistakes, and a lot of other mistakes in terms of assumptions about grad school. And one of the biggest mistakes you can make is having this assumption that, hey, my graduate supervisor is being paid to be able to supervise me, and therefore I should be able to do whatever I want here in grad school, and so long as it generally fits within their wheelhouse, they should support me in doing it. That is not how this works, and if you expect it, you are in for a very rude awakening. The better thing to do is to be able to show that you're gonna make this supervisor's life as easy as possible, okay? This is really key, and we're gonna focus on questions to ask here. So that's the first one, would be what opportunities might be available on whatever a currently funded grant is. So you can say something like, I was really excited on the lab website to see that there's this ongoing grant on such and such from such and such an agency. So from National Institute of Health, for example, right? And I was wondering, would there be any opportunities that I could take advantage of if I were lucky enough to get accepted into the lab on that grant? Because I'd really love to work on the grant. This is great. There's always so much gopher work that needs to be done on grants. It will be fantastic if you can assist them with that. Trust me, they're always looking for ways to be able to, save time. And if you're somebody who's really competent and you know their literature well, so always make sure that you have read a minimum of the last 2 to 3 years of papers that they've been the first author on, preferably anything also that they've been the senior author on, usually the last author on a piece, depending on the field, okay? I've got another video here on the channel you guys can watch all about what authorship order means. I recommend, if you haven't checked that out already, to do so when you got time, okay? So, this is a good thing. Why? Because it suggests that you already know the game, and the game is make their life easy. Now, the one thing that I would say though here is that if you take a look at a grant and the grant is ending, like literally the grant is, within 12 months of ending, the likelihood is high that they've been pursuing new grant funding, in which case you can ask about that. You can say, I noticed that grant funding from National Institute of Health on this grant is going to be ending in the next few months, so probably by the time that if I were lucky enough to be accepted to the program, that would suggest that, maybe there would be a new grant to work on. I wasn't sure, so I just figured that I would ask, is there anything else really exciting that's kind of in the hopper right now? Because I'd love to get involved and be of help any way that I can, okay? Again, notice the supplication, okay? The idea is any way that I can be of help, I want to be of help to you. I am here to serve. Right? I am here to assist. I'm not here because I think that I'm the ish. I am not here because I believe that, I know better than everybody else and you should do what I want to do and you should teach me what I want to learn, so on and so forth. You're not going to come across well. And it's funny because that's like a really controversial thing to say. And please know that I do recognize that it's controversial, but it's also the truth. And the reason why you guys watch me, why you watch this channel, is you guys know that I never BS you. And I'm always straightforward with you because I care about you, right? This is the same reason if you ever want to work with me, if you have sincere questions that you want to get answered about your career, the likelihood of you getting accepted, what you can do to max out your chances of getting a dream job, dream postdoc, dream grad school acceptance, you should set up an appointment with me and we can talk about it together. We're on the same team here, okay? So that's number one. Number two, might there be any opportunities to serve as a teacher's assistant or a graduate assistant, right? Specifically with them, of course, but it could be with anybody else. This has two things. Number one is that obviously if you're a GA or a TA, graduate assistant, teacher's assistant, you're gonna make some money, and that money can help to offset any tuition that you may still owe after any scholarships that you may have been lucky enough to receive. This is a key thing though, because you're suggesting, again, the implicit thing here is service. Is there any way that I can help you, right? I want you to think about it like a plane, right? The plane's gonna come in for a nice smooth landing. It's barely, you guys have been on planes before, I'm sure many of you, where you just have the smoothest landing possible. You're coming in nice and gentle. You barely even feel it. You barely feel the friction. I'm sure you guys like me have been on some terrible flights where when you land, you think that, you're gonna die because the thing, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. No, nobody wants that, right? It's very uncomfortable. Same thing with these graduate school supervisors. They want you to make their life easy so you can slide right in there, right? That's what they're looking for, okay? So that's number two. Number three, are there any projects in the lab right now that are a priority for you that I could assist with? if lucky enough to gain acceptance, something like that, right? So again, what you're saying is, it doesn't matter what I want as the applicant. Do you have anything really pressing right now in the lab that you could use help with that I could somehow be of service on? Even if there isn't anything like that, the fact that you asked the question means something, okay? So that is number 3. Number 4 is, do you have any favorite conferences that you like students to join you at and to present at? Okay, so for example, my old field's forensic psychology. There's a few international conferences that are really big. There's a few national ones. For example, in the US, American Psychological Association has many dozens of divisions. One of them is Division 41, which is the American Psychology Law Society. So let's say that you're in the US, you're at a forensic program. Maybe the person would say, well, you know, sometimes we go to this state conference, sometimes we go to this regional conference or this coastal conference. But the big one that I always encourage students to go to every year, I go to it every year with students, is the APLS conference that's held in a different city every year. And usually, you know, I recommend that people do at least submit a poster. Sometimes if it's a dissertation or a thesis project, then I recommend that they submit as a paper presentation as well. And we've got loads of videos here on the channel, by the way, guys. If you don't know how to be able to kind of submit a successful paper or poster proposal, watch those videos. We got so much stuff for you guys. It's gonna be great, okay, for you to check out. So that's number 4. Why? Again, it's asking about what conferences they like. And also it gives you a sense of who else this person might be able to introduce you to. For example, if it's only at the state level, right, in the US, if it's only at the state level, the likelihood you're gonna meet all these, you know, really big name people from other countries and all is pretty low if you just do everything in the state of Delaware, for example. Tiny state, important state in the US, okay? But if it's something that they love going to international conferences, then you could say, fantastic. They probably already know a lot of international people. They can introduce me to those people, right? This all should be going into your head based on what they say. So you can gather useful information there and also give the perception that you care about what they think. And that is key, okay? Finally, number 5, are there any trends in the kinds of positions that recent graduates from the lab or the program have been getting in academia or industry? This is an actually important one. You don't want to ask any questions that are like too serious during this whole thing. These are serious questions, right? But you don't want to ask something like, what do you think is the most pressing need right now in this field of academia? That's like you interviewing them. No, right? It suggests that you're above them. That's not good. You are not on the same level as your graduate supervisor. Sorry, right? If you're a postdoc, you're becoming a colleague, but you need to respect your postdoctoral supervisors as well as people who know more than you do in many things. It's really important, okay? So one of the things that you want to make sure to do is, you know, you watch your tone and these sorts of things, but it is also important you not ask any silly questions, things like, you know, what's your favorite, you don't know what to say. What's your favorite restaurant around here in the area? You know, it's like, oh, if you got to go to a good bar around here, you know, what would you recommend? Don't ask them about their family or anything that's completely inappropriate. Don't ask something about, I love running marathons. Are there any good marathons around here? It's just inappropriate. Okay, don't ask those kinds of questions. You can talk about them sometime down the line. This is your one chance usually to be able to make a good first impression in terms of the questions that you ask, okay? And these are good examples of questions that you can ask to make a good impression, okay? And it also is important though for you to be a little bit on a fact-finding mission. And one of the big things is, you know, most of the people, the recent people in the lab, where have they ended up? Have they ended up in tenure track positions? Maybe they're full-time clinicians now. Maybe they went into industry, public service. What ended up happening? You know, that's actually an interesting thing to find out. And remember, it's not what you say, it's always how you say it. And with these questions, it's always a good thing to be able to ask with a healthy amount of upward inflection. For the most part, if you listen to how I speak, every word that I say, it goes up at the end. That is upward inflection, okay? Now that works exceptionally well in terms of teaching, in terms of lecturing. Why? The level of, in terms of memory, the level of your retention and acquisition of what I say increases about 30% if I use my hands to speak to you as you know that I do, and if I use upward inflection. And that's why I do it, okay? So, make sure you don't have to use your hands like I do when you ask questions, okay? But when you ask them, it's a good thing to be able to ask them with, you don't have to have a huge smile like me on your face, right? But with a healthy amount of positive energy, all right? And at the same time with upward inflection. So don't say something like, number one is what? So you could say, what opportunities might be available on such and such a grant that I saw is funded right now? You don't want to say something like, what opportunities are available on this grant? Goes down at the end, do you notice? Bad nonverbals completely. It suggests that you are an authority. You are not an authority, okay? It's important to know your place. And I say this as someone who didn't know his place, okay? It's very, very important. Why do I say that? There is nothing that supervisors want less than an arrogant graduate student, I'm telling you right now, okay? So, come in for that soft landing. You guys are gonna be great, okay? So, that's what I've got for you guys today. All right, guys, thank you so much as always for joining me. Per usual, smash that like button, comment below because it helps the algorithm a ton, especially if you've got questions for me. Make sure to put them down there. Gives me ideas for more videos. Share this video with your friends, your colleagues, and your students, and be able to get out there, take chances, and always be your best self. Talk to you guys soon. Peace. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.